So in Philadelphia, the crime rate has been extremely high for the past 3.5 years. In 2020, there was 220 people killed. In 2021, there was 304 people killed. Now this year, there's 300, almost an all-time high. And a 14-year-old boy has killed a 19-year-old kid recently with a 24-year-old man while it was 1050. And now there have been over 800 people killed in the past 4 years. And it's extremely bad for our community.
What does gun violence mean to you?
Gun violence is just terrible to me because I've experienced it a couple times in my family. So it's just a couple times also around me. So just terrible to me because how dangerous it gonna be for me and my family, the people around me.
My name is Najee Green, and per my experience with gun violence, I would say I've never been held at gunpoint. I've never been in close contact with a gun that has been, aimed to shoot at me. However, I do know many people have been shot that are close to me that have been held at gunpoint by the police, by another human, by a neighbor.
Like a couple months ago, my cousin actually got shot in the arm. Got shot in the arm for literally no reason. And like everybody in my family was crying. My mom almost crashed her car because of how sad she was because he almost died. Luckily he didn't, but everybody was so distraught about it. And even I was, I didn't even have an issue to him like that. So that is one time I experienced gun violence in my family.
Sir Davis, I was a victim of gun violence, and I lost somebody close to me, and I was also injured in that situation. And they had my family hurt, and I didn't want that pain for them. But I'm glad I'm still here. Yo, give me everything!
Jayla! What's up, bro? I got robbed. You're lying, bro. Bro, I'm being so serious. Bro, you're lying. You know what, bro? Go off my block, bro. I'm not lying. I was outside with my friends.
Yo, why is he lying? I know he was out dancing with other guys with your friends. Jasir, I need you, bro. It's about my shawty.
Alright, say no more. I'm about to get her right now. Alright.
After the shooting, Jasir was sentenced to prison, but his parole officer had another idea in mind, for him to go to a program called Teens After Hours.
Hey, Jasir. Your mom signed you up for this program, so I think you've been a bad influence in all your life. Hope you have a good time here, and you like your place. You're welcome.
The most impactful one for me was close friends that I lost, dating to when I was 15, I think 15, 14. I was 14. I was just about, I was going to high school, and I lost a friend to gun violence. And it's still trauma that affects me to this day that I'm working through. And then I've been on the side to where as though I was incarcerated for being a part of gun violence that still impacts me today. And then that kind of ties into the work that I'm doing now, to where as though I'm trying to help young folks that had similar upbringings to my path and keeping them out of the streets. I know y'all got a program to where as though y'all trying to figure out ways to keep young folks engaged and out the way during a certain specific time. So I appreciate y'all for that, and that's kind of like the work that we're trying to do to make sure like we're keeping young folks engaged and making sure like they're not a part of gun violence. I feel like if you live in Philadelphia, especially in the inner city, you're impacted some type of way. And whether that's if you're uncomfortable leaving the house to go to programming or anything like that, like we all, I feel like, are impacted by gun violence.
Basically, if you live in Philadelphia, you're impacted because every day you wake up, there's some other poor child has lost their lives to gun violence. And if you're any type of human being, that should affect you in some way. Even if you're not directly know the person, just the simple fact of our children dying in by these numbers and at this magnitude is traumatic for all of us. So that's why I'm working so hard to try to help as many of the youth that I can see a different pathway for themselves, because there's not a lot of resources. I mean, there is a lot of resources in this city, but a lot of folks don't know how to access them. And that's one of the things that me and my team does. We help connect folks with other opportunities and supports.
So right now I'm in graduate school for social work and public health. So as a social worker, I'm working on getting my my clinical license in order to provide therapy to individuals. I think a lot of it has to do with mental health. But I don't think that's a holistic approach to it. And so with my public health degree, I see, gun violence as a public health issue. Public health is about, promoting health, protecting individuals, figuring out how to prolong life, and allowing people, through organized efforts, but also allowing people to make informed choices about their communities. And so in public health, at least, when you go to a doctor, you usually go to a doctor after you're sick, and they treat you. But public health is more about prevention and protection. So in terms of gun violence, I'm thinking, how do we prevent this? Whether that's through gun violence education, or whether that's gun violence prevention programs. And so that's my personal take on it.
Heard about more gun violence usage with teens or adults in the past year?
Absolutely. So again, I'm going to go back to my profession as a former law officer. It really seems that the kids with guns are getting younger and younger. I think it's really disheartening and sometimes scary that there are kids that I've seen that are 11, 12, 13 years old committing, violent acts with firearms. You have to really understand why they're getting these firearms, where are the parents, and just where's the village, where's the community to help raise these young children. So it's really disheartening because I've seen it firsthand, and I've seen young men and women of color that were arrested for firearm charges and that are involved in carrying firearms. So
I think the work that we do is keeping young folks engaged and just active and changing the narrative around a lot of things. So one of the things that I do at work and on my personal time is teaching young people that come from the hood or was involved in the streets, teaching them a way to stay out the way and giving them that recipe of like, this is how you can live your life, this is how you can enjoy your life, and this is a way for you to see 40. I know for me at a young age, at your age, or even 19, 20, I'm 30 now. 30 wasn't realistic to me, and it was blurry, and I didn't think like I would be 30. And I think coming up with, I call it a recipe of staying out the way and doing things to where as though I'm not putting myself in environments to where as though I can be in a situation to where as though I'm a victim of gun violence and giving that recipe out. So if it's I know you want to chill with your friends on the block, like maybe that's not the move this summer. Maybe let's go somewhere. Let's figure out how we get some money have some fun, and then we can go X, Y, and Z and enjoy the summer and see different things and open our minds to different things. So I think changing the narrative of what, especially young black men, what that look like, especially in Philadelphia, and how you can still be your authentic self, but change the narrative around being a street dude. I think that's in Philly. That's like I guess a hot commodity, but it's not healthy. And teaching like healthy ways to really like live life, and still be supportive of your friends, still be you, still support and represent where you come from, but put yourself in safe environments and have fun.
Also, I don't think, people are inherently like criminal or they want to resort to criminal activity. I think it's about having access to resources. And I think if people had their basic needs met, they wouldn't be engaging in a lot of the activities that they are. And so as a supportive service advisor, along with Jay, we help people with emotional support. We help them get housing, food stamps, WIC, Medicaid. And I think having access to, food, shelter, access to income is also is an amazing gun violence prevention measure.
I'm going to say this. The influx and the number of guns that are flooding our streets now are for the same reason that there is a liquor store just about, or a deli on almost every corner in the hood. It's flooding our streets for the same reason that there's drugs so abundant in the hood. So I'm gonna leave it like that and let y'all come to your own conclusion as to why our neighborhoods are so flooded and impacted by this violence. It's all intertwined and it's connected, and I'm leave it like that for you to draw your own conclusions.
Jameson, is gun violence a big issue in Philadelphia? Do you think a lot of teenagers have been falling and just dying drastically?
Yes, I feel like gun violence in Philadelphia, especially among Philadelphian youth, is getting really bad because nobody's taking effect or wanting to do anything about the topic, and everyone's just saying how bad it is, but nobody wants to actually do anything about the topic.
What about you, Jill? How do you feel about that?
I feel like though these teams are just going and killing each other for no reason sometimes. Sometimes it is amazing. Yeah. How about you, Dustin?
I feel like the cops should do more, because I lost a couple of friends to this, and I feel like the cops not doing enough, and they just showing it everywhere, not putting no thoughts into doing anything about it or anything. And you feel me? That's it. What do you feel about it, Sancho?
I mean, I know some stuff about gun violence because my dad's friend died victim of gun violence, and I was at his funeral, and so I kind of know how it feels to experience what it feels like to have somebody who died from it. And I just think that adding back to what he said, that I think the cops should do a little more and investigate more into it and just try to protect the community better.
Because gun violence is at an all-time high, what resources do you have that teenagers can go to, how they can get off the street, parents? It's a lot going on. What do you think about that? What's the resources?
So one of the big resources is Play It Safe Philly, and it's a summer program and it has mentoring and office counseling for kids that are victims, that have friends or family that are victims or have been victims themselves at one point, and also for people who have been behind that standpoint and have had the gun, to kind of get them back into a place of where they can feel safe and where they don't feel that they don't need to pick up a gun anymore.